Hey guys, Mike here. So today, I'm here to talk to you about Guns Akimbo. In this review, I'll be going over a brief summary of the plot, my quick thoughts about the film, and whether or not you guys should go and see it. So I'm going to try and keep this review spoiler-free. However, if you don't want to know anything about the film, and you want to go in completely blind, then just come back to this review once you've seen the film. So with that, let's get started, shall we?
I wouldn't do that if I was you. You'll just end up blowing your damn face off. Then you'll still be depressed. Even more depressed, probably, because of your fucked up face.
So Guns Akimbo stars Daniel Radcliffe as Miles and Samara Weaving as Nix. In Guns Akimbo, Miles is a self-proclaimed internet troll hunter. However, one day he leaves a message which he ends up regretting later. And he does end up regretting it because some people break into his house, knock him out, and end up bolting 2 handguns to his hands. And to survive, he's told he has to hunt down and kill Nix. And so we have Guns Akimbo. First of all, guys, I just gotta say that I just absolutely love Daniel Radcliffe's movie choices. Pretty much since Harry Potter, he has had some crazy movie choices. Whether he's an FBI agent who has to infiltrate the KKK, whether he plays a farting corpse, or whether he ends up waking up with 2 handguns bolted to his hands. Even though some, or probably most of the movies that he's done since Harry Potter, haven't exactly been the best of movies, you can just tell that he has an absolute blast making them. And this movie seems to be no exception. Now, don't get me wrong, I knew this was going to be one of those films that wasn't going to be very good, but if you just turned your brain off, you might have quite a good time. And that's definitely the best advice I can give you watching this one. But even with that mindset, you find yourself constantly asking, why did that happen, or why did they do that, or that makes no sense. And no matter how hard you try and take it at face value, you just still find yourself asking these questions. But having said that though, there are some things that Guns Akimbo does do very, very well. For starters, the action is very well choreographed and very creative as well. I mean, one of the very first action scenes in the entire film is very well choreographed and you can see everything that's happening in it. Even though it is kind of inconsistent with the rest of the film. Like, I mean, you have this character who's going through a warehouse, popping headshots left, right, and center, and doing the most amazing trick shots. But then about 10 to 15 minutes later on in the film, they can't make a simple shot when the character is basically standing still and is only about 30 feet away. Though I imagine they have these skill inconsistencies just so they can keep the story going. And then as the movie goes on, it gets way more ridiculous and a lot more unbelievable. But I give Guns Akimbo a pass for that because it doesn't try and be anything realistic. Except for one scene when Daniel Radcliffe's character takes the first shot with the guns, and he kind of holds his ears because he's like, oh, don't believe what you see in the movies, guns are really loud. And then later on, he's shooting the guns rapid fire style and it barely seems to affect him. And also, something else I noticed in this film, I have never seen a character bump into as many people as Daniel Radcliffe's character in this. The first time he bumps into someone, he's looking at his phone and he's trying to establish him as this character who doesn't really live in the real world and kind of just lives on his phone. That's fair enough. But then later on, he's walking without his phone, looking straight ahead, and somehow he still manages to bump into people. And it's not even scenes where he's running and kind of not looking where he's going. He's just walking straight ahead and just bumps into someone. I know I have no major evidence to back up this claim, but still, I've just never noticed it in any other movie apart from this one. I know it's a minor thing and it's pretty much inconsequential to the story, it's just something funny I noticed. Which leads me into the comedy. Now, most of the comedy from Guns Akimbo pretty much comes from the absurd premise. Internet troll hunter wakes up with guns on his hands. And then from there, it's him trying to do basic things with guns attached to his hands, like open doors, answer his phone, put his trousers on. And I gotta be honest with you, the first time you see it, it's a little bit funny, but then later on it just kind of wears thin. But for consistency's sake, they do kind of have to keep it going. So, unfortunately, you do have to kind of watch loads of stuff like this. It's nothing that really ruins the viewing experience, it's just not really funny beyond the first time you see it. And with Daniel Radcliffe's character, beyond trying to use things with his hands, I wouldn't say that this character is particularly funny. I'd say the funniest character was Samara Weaving's character, Nix, who mainly gets a lot of her comedy from just being an absolute psychopath. And she does play that part really well. And then I'd say the other funniest character is the homeless Kiwi guy, who doesn't really have much screen time, but every time he is on screen, he is quite funny. And then there are points where Guns Akimbo tries to be a bit of a social commentary, where it says that all people like to do is watch extremely violent things on the internet with no consequences. And while it does do that job well, it's not exactly breaking any new grounds, or it's not gonna make you look inside yourself and realise, oh my god, I'm the problem. Overall, guys, I did like Guns Akimbo, but beyond the absurd premise and a bit of interesting action, this movie really isn't anything to write home about. The performances are decent, the action's really well done, and the comedy is fairly decent. But now, as for or not, you guys should go and see it. Now, the only reason I would say to watch this one is if you want to just kind of sit back and watch a bit of mindless violence. But I mean, if you're going into this one expecting a really good film, then I think you'll be a bit disappointed. So I'd say give it a watch if you have the time, but as for a serious recommendation, I wouldn't recommend watching this one. It just doesn't really have all that much going for it. Okay guys, that's my review of Guns Akimbo. If you've seen it, what did you think about it? And what's your favourite weird Daniel Radcliffe movie? Whatever it is, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, I've been Michael. See ya.